I know there's some
But I hate to see Cortopia going.
departments.
Still trying to save it.
Yeah.
These guys
It
have
still can be saved.
some
I know,
projects
I'd see us at City
The
Guide,
former
oh yeah,
founders.
we only do with gas.
Being
Oh, okay. Then never, oh, we do with water. Like,
interfering.
You're being very, very gracious.
Yeah.
All right, in about
More to come
30
on that.
seconds, guys, we'll get started. Mr. Duran, how are you?
I am excellent, thank you.
Hot.
Yeah, the students in the shop, in the classroom is so hot. There's students taking tests.
We will bring the work session
And
of the
they're
Trinidad Urban
taking
Renewal
the
Authority
tests
to
and have
order.
all these
It
molars.
is 5:30
And you can just
p.m.
feel heat
We are here
from them.
in
So
City
they're sitting there
Hall
going, Mrs. Bailey,
with Chairman Grego on the go-to meeting online, so I will be conducting the agenda, and Mr. Chairman Grego will be here for input as well during the meeting. So we'll open the work session with our item number 1, which is Ms. Kitty Williams, the City of Trinidad, Director of Development Services. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I don't have very much to report to you, but I did pull our building department, some of our stats from the last quarter. So I thought I would just share and then maybe talk about some goals for the next quarter that might involve y'all. First of all, we're trying to make our department more developer friendly. So we've reduced some development fees, and we haven't really exactly reduced them, but we've kind of put them together. So now, like, let's say a developer wants to come in, they can kind of put all of their hearings and things like that together in one more streamlined hearing. So instead of taking maybe like 4 months, that might take like 6 weeks instead. And then we've also done some fee adjustments to make it a little more streamlined for developers. That also put us in a really good position to receive Prop 123 funds and opt into that program, which will also attract more development. So those are some of the kind of things, just, you know, nuanced things we're doing to try to make things a little bit more streamlined. In terms of like that kind of stuff for next quarter, I would like to see us have more like online forms so that you're not like having to call. Like, let's say you're a developer from out of town, you have to call to get a form, have somebody email it to you and not have it be fillable. We need to streamline that a little bit. Okay, and also I just want to share, we have, I don't know if you've ever gone on Google Maps in the town, but our Google Maps is about 10 years old. So what we're trying to do is make it a little bit more streamlined so that public information, GIS information, that kind of stuff, we'll be sharing with the county too, will be available through our permitting system. So you can go on, you can see what utilities are there, or we can go online and see what utilities are there, depending on what we're allowed to share. But that should make it's going to be mapped. So we had a mapping company come out who's affiliated with our permitting system. They mapped the entire city in 1 week. They drove around with a car, they cameraed everything. So that's happening. So then they're going to be in production for about 6 weeks, and then that'll definitely be available internally, and then eventually we'd like that to be available externally. So if you're looking at property here and you're not in town, you can just go on the parcel and look at it.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, and then obviously another thing that we do is building permits. So in the last quarter, we've had 19 new building permits, which is like a lot, and 22 remodel permits. In terms of ADO stuff, anti-dilapidation, we've sent out about 20 notices in the last quarter, which is a lot. And a couple of those have been formal citations, like five of those have been formal citations. We looked into your inquiry about, hey, have some of these been closed? We closed about 10.
Okay.
Because they did the work, so that's all we want to see.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, pulled 17, we closed out 17 permits, did 17 finals. So they've been pretty busy down there. And next quarter, I would really like to see for a bunch of new notices to try to kind of clear that ADO list, which is working. People are doing work, or working with the college to get things transferred over, which I love to hear, but I'd really like to start working with TURA on some commercial properties. Maybe, so many of the developers in town who are the commercial ones, they kind of need to either kind of come up with an agreement with the city, TURA, or, if they're not gonna do anything about some of the commercial ones, or they need to pull permit, they need to get going and to commit to some work, so that would be, I guess, maybe something I'd like to figure out with TURA is how we maybe pick a couple properties and say, how can we
help?
get some movement on some of this stuff? Even if it's just outside cosmetic work, maybe there's one corner where the bricks are falling down, what can we do? Just to get that little piece done.
Good.
That's it.
Kaylee, thank you. If we have any questions for her, I think we'll start with Chairman Grego since he's on the screen here. Do you have any questions for Ms. Williams?
No, I don't. Thank you, Keely, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Commissioner Howell?
I'd just like to say, when we streamline processes for businesses, we do reduce costs sometimes greatly without having to decrease fees. So sometimes when you're trying to go through the process as a business, you spend more money in the process and the fees end up being just one ancillary cost of it. So I really applaud that you guys are moving in that direction. I think it's gonna help a lot of people.
That's been the feedback from developers, absolutely, is that they, a lot of times they're saving on surveying fees, they're saving on due diligence, that kind of stuff. So,
Very good.
Mr. Head?
Hooray, I like it. I'm surprised it hadn't been done in the past, but I'm glad you are the one in charge of doing it. Because it sounds so reasonable, and why wasn't it done before? Thank you.
Commissioner Magley?
We at the college just are in the process of getting 2 more houses. You probably are aware of that.
Yeah.
And they were pretty rough and they're in town and they're close to the college. So we're thinking that it could be a real win-win because it was a good deal. But now we got quite a few projects coming up and you're aware of those. So, but anyway, we were glad to be able to help. It wasn't such through TURA, but it's in the same vein as what we're talking about, fix these houses up and turn around and make them, and not knock them down. And then the city has to come and maintain those lots.
Right.
And it's right across from the prospect over there, so it's a win-win for everybody. But anyway, thank you for, looking at all those things.
Okay, thank you, Kaylee. On to agenda item number 2, Triple D Family Limited Partnership LLP request for waiver. And I believe Mr. Grego, if you can give us some background on this, and I think we have a representative here tonight, Mr. Duran.
Okay, everybody, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I did provide information to you in the original agenda packet. We did receive a second email yesterday with some additional information. In 2015, it's to be exact, July 10th, 2015, Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority sold to the Triple D Family Limited Partnership LLP 3 city lots, which are lots 14, 15, and 16 in the Fairview Edition. And to make it simplistic, those lots, if you're familiar with the convenience, the Shell convenience store on Goddard and I-25, there is a compressed natural gas facility there. And these 3 lots, and I think Mr. Grant, if he's present, he will confirm it. But the 3 lots, and if you look at the photos that I sent yesterday, you will see where that gas equipment is located, compressor, tanks, and whatever else. So those are the 3 lots that were purchased by Triple D from Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority for the construction and the operation of the compressed natural gas facility. That gas facility was constructed and it is in operation today. Within that sale agreement, there was an addendum, and that was page 20. I did give to you, you did receive, I gave you excerpts in the main packet that you had an attachment that also had the entire 20-page agreement to buy and sell real estate. On the 20th page is the addendum, and the addendum cites a covenant that says that in the event that this facility was not to be used for its intended use when the sale occurred, which was compressed natural gas facility, or there was a contemplated or would be a sale to a third party, Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority would be afforded what would be normally termed as the first right of refusal. The request from Triple D Family Benefit Partnership at this time is they are seeking a waiver of that condition in that agreement. That it's recorded, they've had the covenant on it, so he has come to Trinidad Urban Renewal at this time to ask for a waiver of it. In the packet that was sent to everybody, I gave all that information, and in there I gave two options that could occur. One, you could enforce that covenant and require that we be given the 60-day notice of first right of refusal, which would be enforcement of the language in the covenant, or we could waive that. So that is in upward discussion this evening. The sale price of that land, and I'm reiterating most of what I have already put in writing. So there's questions you can ask. The sale price for those 3 lots was $3,000 back in 2015. Those lots have been built on. They contain the facility that I noted a couple of minutes ago. So the question or the request by Triple D, Mr. Duran, is for a waiver of that so that we can proceed on with the sale to the purchaser. I did write to you in the second emailing yesterday, along with the photos. There is a waiver that was prepared by the legal counsel for the purchaser of the property from Triple D, the waiver of right of first refusal. I did refer that to Paul Benedetti, attorney for Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. And he gave it a quick review and he said if TURA wants to go in that direction, we would do a final review on it, and for any changes to be made, it would be worked out with the Mr. Duran of Triple D and or the purchaser.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Duran, would you come up to the podium and follow up with that discussion Mr. Grable had in your terms?
Sure. Good to see the board. I'm glad to see that you guys haven't melted today. So, and again, Lee here. Yeah, Ed is correct on what we're looking at is when we purchased these lots from the city, from Urban Renewal, it was with the express intent that we build a compressed natural gas facility on those lots. And we did that. Spark Natural Gas is the company that actually built the entire facility. And of course, the person's got to remember that above ground, you see the pressurized tanks where it builds up the pressure. I believe there's 3 separate tanks, and then there's some compressing equipment, and that's what you see above ground. And of course, it's surrounded by a privacy fence and all that stuff. But you got to also remember that below ground, we're coming up those 3 lots and actually tying into the dispensers, which are, well, people call them pumps, but those are dispensers, and that's what's on the south side of the facility, and that's where all the natural gas gets pumped out. So, the 3 lots are being totally utilized for the intent that we proposed to Urban Renewal, and so we're just here today to say, we'd like for this right of first refusal to finally be waived, because, you know, it's gonna continue to be used as a compressed natural gas site. But I'm also thinking that going down the road, and I'm talking, you know, maybe 20, 30, 40 years, who knows what type of energy is going to be used for the motoring public. So to try to try to kind of have some control over what type of energy is going to be used in the future, we don't know. The thing is that we told Urban Renewal we were going to put a compressed natural gas site there. And that's what we did, and so we'd like to just have it we're all good to go.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Duran. Questions for Mr. Duran? We'll start with Chairman Grego.
Nothing, I've had, obviously contact prior to this with Mr. Duran because the request for the waiver was directed to me as the chair and representative of TURA. So, you know, I was a city member of TURA. That was our first and organizational year in 2015. So it was one of the few things that we did before the actual plan was adopted in December. So this was a lot of pre-stuff that we were doing, but we were actually formed and operational in the beginning in early 2015. So I'm familiar with it. That's all the details that I provided to everybody. So I'm open to questions on it because again, I think I can remember it as much, most of it as much as Mr. Duran might as well.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner Howell.
I think I like everything about this waiver. It helped Duran build out a compressed gas facility. It helped create jobs, and it has benefited the community since 2015. A new operator, buyer of the business can proceed with business as usual, so there's consistency with regards to that. And personally, I see this as a success, one of the successes of TURA and the private enterprise, working together and then keeping the mission and the goal there since 2015 to now. I look at this as a great opportunity to actually just tweak that thing that last time to make it the success that I think it is. That's all I have.
Rashad.
Do you have a buyer for the property now?
Oh, yes.
You do. And they're gonna continue to operate the compressed natural gas?
Yes, so the buyer is Alta Fuels or Alta Convenience Stores. But the company that runs the compressed natural gas is a company called Sparks. And, you know, they're based in Oklahoma, and yeah, they.
My only concern about this is, I would have no problem with giving you the waiver, is to make sure that it remains a compressed natural gas station, because it's the only, I think it's the only one in town, or it's the only one I've seen. So I do want to make sure that we have that available. That would be my only concern, and I don't know if that would be a deal breaker for these people to say that they are going to do this, and I just don't want to see any speculation where they decide that there's something better that they can do with it, because the community needs that.
Well, I think the thing as far as Alta is concerned is they said yes, they are going to continue to operate that as a compressed natural gas facility. I don't know whether they can speak for Sparks, since that's a totally different corporation, but those are the guys that are handling the natural gas facility now. And I was trying to allude to the fact that compressed natural gas has been a different source of alternative fuels for a few years. And now, of course, electric vehicles one of the things that I was pretty proud of was the fact that the Renewal company that owned the stores, we also had an alternative proposition for people when we allowed Tesla to build their supercharger site up at our truck stop. And so, I believe that we were probably the only energy company in the entire state of Colorado that actually had gasoline, and they had diesel, and they also had compressed natural gas, and they also had electric superchargers, which, I thought that was a heck of a thing. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, we don't know what is gonna be the industry going forward, They're talking about hydrogen nowadays. Who knows? But what I'm trying to say at this point is that we bought it with the intention to build a compressed natural gas facility there. And 8 years ago, that's what we did. And these guys are still saying that they're going to operate it as a compressed natural gas facility. So that's about all I can say.
Mr. Bacon?
I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it's a great thing, and I'm glad TURA is able to be a partner with this.
And Mr. Duran, thank you for coming tonight. I don't have any concerns other than a comment to maybe assure Commissioner Heck's concerns. With the insight that I have as my county commissioner's position and all of the legislation that we do annually through the state of Colorado, the industry is changing every year from electric to this to hydrogen possibly and helium as well, alternative sources. But the main one right now, I think, is on everybody's focus is the green energy and electric vehicles. So in the private enterprise business, we just had that private property rights. This would open this up to be a private property right, no longer a TURA deal as a first right of refusal for you to do as you wish as a person, as a private property owner. So that's the only inclination. You were right on that they would possibly be able to have that. But the way the legislator is going in the future at the federal level, the state level, is for the infrastructure for the alternative fuels, but not so much fuels, it is more electric and the grid, and they're working on that stuff. So
I understand that, but I think that's a ways down the road
Right.
For the
2032, all GM vehicles will be electric. So it's not that far away.
9 years.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, but anyway, if that helps.
Well, I mean, it's a concern.
Yes, Commissioner.
I realized when you said that all four places that energy that is very impressive. You do have the electric, the Tesla, and you have the Spark, and of course diesel. That's very impressive. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
I need to add a couple more things, but I'll take my turn, but I do have a couple more things I'd like to add since there's discussion going on. I need a couple more things I should explain to put some logic to this as well.
Please go ahead and do so.
Okay. If you took a look at the pictures and took a look at the site of where the equipment is that we're talking about, these three lots, first of all, were under the ownership of TURA for, I don't know, probably going back to the mid to late 1960s. And if you look at the topography and the location of these lots, the only purpose they could serve or value they would have is as part of an assemblage of land, as that did happen with the compressed natural gas facility. They're small city lots. They have not a lot of area, and they themselves, into the future, should TURA want to take ownership of them. They would be difficult to. You have to have a buyer with a purpose. Basically, they're beyond what it is. They're with a purpose because I don't know, Ray, did they have to do some excavation on a hillside that was there in order to make that flattened out? Wasn't it? The hillside did come down.
They might have had to do some excavation because that hillside to the west is pretty steep. But, I was gonna say that, it came out really nice and flat, but I believe that those 3 lots, when you really take a look at it, those 3 lots are landlocked. There is no way that anybody can get to those 3 lots, and the most practical use of those 3 lots was to go ahead and put the compressed natural gas equipment and the pumps and the tanks on the furthest back part of it so that we could still have some room up towards the front. I would say that if the city were to ever take back those lots, they're gonna have to figure out a way to get access to those lots, because there is no access to those 3 lots.
That's right, I think the only previous access were a couple of alleys which have been vacated over the years. And so, yeah, they would be landlocked. If it became publicly owned land again, there would be no way to access it. So I just wanted to provide that detail, because if you know and see the location of the lot, I think at the time, TURA was fortunate to find somebody to buy it, let's put it that way. I guess that's the best way I can put that.
And I wanna say that, I'm looking at the plat map here, and the only way that there would be access to those 3 lots is if it were to be off of East Strong Avenue. And if I remember correctly, I think Jerry Armijo used to own land on East Strong Avenue, but the land where his house is comes like this, and then it takes probably about a 60-foot drop, 70-foot drop straight down, and then the 3 lots we're talking about are down here. So maybe years ago there was a way to get on Strong and get down to those lots, but now I don't know of anybody that would want to remove that entire hillside so that they could get down to these 3 lots.
Mr. Grego, anything else?
Oh, yeah, he's correct in what he says, because all the lots to the west going up over that hill are owned by the property owner, Mr. Armijo, as you said. So the hills, then again, they're up against the right of way for the Interstate 25. So again, going into it, anybody else that really doesn't suit the purpose, and TURA as the owner of that property, again, wouldn't make any real sense.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Howell?
Just a couple of comments, and I did look at the photos, but I'm so glad you bought that in 2015, because we'd be the owner of that right now, and inability to have done any good, public good with that. If we were, so what are our options? Our options are to take our first right of refusal, provide $3,000 and acquire a piece of property that we want no part of. At least in my mind, we want no part of. I trust the free enterprise system will work out, and the all energy industries and emerging spaces will work out. Is compressed natural gas something that will be around for a long period of time? Will we need more superchargers? So I kind of think the industry will figure out something, and I hope down in the future, whoever owns that property, if it's Alta, will figure out how to put something in that piece of property or not. But I do know this, if our options are TURA, paying $3,000 for that piece of property, that I see no way of that flying. And so based on what you guys have done to it, where it's going, the hands it's going into right now, who is a known operator in our area. Alto's a known operator in our area. You've done a magnificent job with bringing things there. So I think if we look at the options, I see where Commissioner was going, but I don't want to put any restrictions on that. I'm okay with that getting back into private hands and doing something with it, because we can't do anything with it. We have no options for it.
And last question I have for you, Mr. Durant, is on, and I'm assuming DORA, Department of Regulatory Affairs, is in charge of reclamation on those projects if it was to be changed out, or who would oversee the removal of that station or natural gas if that was to occur? I'm sure you guys have a bond or something, or Sparks has a bond on
You
that
know-
for the reclamation.
That's a good question, because, I don't deal in natural gas. Spark are the guys that deal in natural gas. But what I can tell you is like, on the fuel side of it, gasoline and diesel, that part of it, our tanks are registered with the state of Colorado. And if we were ever to remove any of our tanks that are underground, that's when the state of Colorado comes in with their inspectors, and, they turn around and take soil samples, and, if remediation is necessary, well, then, the operator is the one that takes care of all the remediation, that kind of stuff. But I can't really address the natural gas side. I just know that, I usually run out of propane in my barbecue grill, and I really need it. And that's about the only thing I have to deal with, like propane or natural gas. Another thing I was gonna say too is that, I believe that our industry, the convenience store industry, we tend to want to maximize the sites that we have, because, real estate is something that you don't take for granted. So you try to use every single inch of whatever acreage you have. And because this site is an interstate site, we are trying to cater to the traveling public. And so, that's why I kind of look at, all right, so what is the best use? What makes the most sense? What is going to get people to come off of that interstate to fuel up here, and hopefully maybe decide that they want to take a trip downtown? That's why I say that, whatever that energy requirement is, I would want to say that the convenience stores industry is the one that's looking forward, trying to figure out, what's the best use of this property? How do we get people off of the interstate? How do we get them to come into the downtown area? And, I just know from being in the business for 50 years now, I can't believe that. But, I was delivering fuel 2 years before I, went 2 years before I went full-time with our company. And so I've seen a lot of changes from, of course, like, the coal we used to do here, and guess what? We had to adapt. And, I remember that some of the sites we used to have one up on, it was called Country Club Conoco. That is now the New View dispensary. We decided that, that piece of property for us didn't take care of the traveling public. It wasn't something that they wanted to stop at. We also used to have, at 5 Points, on the very pointy part of that used to be Triangle Conoco. While, the site was kind of small, it wasn't something that was conducive to people pulling in with, pickups, much less motorhomes pulling vehicles. So, we ended up getting rid of that one. So, we picked up our truck stop on the south side of town, and, we tried to make our stores a little bit better and bigger, so we were handling more of the stuff that the traveling public wanted to buy. Because one thing you gotta remember about the traveling public, not only do they need fuel of some type, whether it's electric or gasoline or diesel or compressed natural gas, another thing they need is services. They need, they need to take a break. They need to get out and use the restroom. They need to turn around and buy the snacks for their kids and their treats so that they can have something. And while you've got them there, that's when you try to sally the rest of the town to those people, because if you don't, they're gonna hit the highway and they're gone again. So I just wanna say that, the convenience store industry tries to make certain that they're catering to that traveling public in every manner whatsoever. So whatever the owner operator is trying to do at his site, he's trying to improve it. And so, I can tell you from my standpoint that regardless of who the owner operator is of all the sites that are around here or any other town, they're trying to improve that puppy so that people stop. And that's where we kind of did all right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for 50 years of service to our community.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez, while you're still there, Ray, I have to clarify something. And maybe I was remiss in what I didn't do yesterday when I sent everything. But you have to know that this waiver of right of refusal is being requested technically by the new owner of the property, FNLI Altitude Proco LLC. Okay, the property was conveyed by Triple D to FNLI on June the 22nd. Am I correct, Nate?
I think it was the 23rd, but that is correct.
I'm looking at the document that the attorney, the law firm for FNLI provided, which is the one I sent to commissioners yesterday. Anyway, the right of refusal is not, and Ray, you're here because you're the one that you're the representative of Triple D, and this has gone on there. But Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority has to know that this first right of refusal, the waiver, if granted, it will be in favor of or benefit to the FNLI Altitude Proco LLC, current owners of the property, conveyed to them by special warranty deed on June the 22nd. And I'm reading it somewhat verbatim from what I'm looking at.
Yeah, you're correct. The whole process started like on the 21st, so there were papers going back and forth, the 21st, 22nd, and the 23rd. So, but yes, it is. That's what they call themselves, FN, whatever.
FNLI. So technically, any action that we take tonight, because this is under the business on the agenda, and whichever, there are two options that were in there. So we have to know and should state, whichever option we do, that this is going to adhere to the benefit of FNLI Altitude Proco LLC. So if you all are looking at the documents that I sent you yesterday with the photos, that is in there. And which doesn't change anything that was discussed earlier with Mr. Durant. I mean, it is one where it's in there. This is just, this is something that has to be cleaned up and addressed. So that this is something when we go to action tonight on the regular agenda. This is letting you know now that this is what it is, and I should have put it in wording yesterday.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Anything else, Mr. Rand? Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
We'll get to that on the regular work session, or regular meeting starts. Item 3, Hughes Lumber Property Status Update. Chairman Grego.
Okay, commissioners, to let you know that we were, you'll recall, because you were against a few months ago, we were requested by the city of Trinidad to assist with the sale of the Hughes Lumber property. We did send out a request for proposals. We have had one qualified, right? There appears to be one qualified response to it. We have received a proposal. The deadline for the submission of proposals is July 14th, 2023 at 3 p.m. That is tomorrow. If I do not have any other inquiries, or not inquiries, I have to have a proposal. I have to have proposals for consideration. They will close at 3 p.m. tomorrow, and I will be forwarding to the members, the commissioners of Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority, a copy of that proposal for consideration. With that said, it may be necessary for us to have a special meeting in the next week or so, at some point in the day, to discuss it, prepare for additional action on it. I have been in constant contact with Mr. Paul Benedetti, who represents TURA, and he's looked at it, and they're preparing, has prepared some documentation, as if this is the only one qualified proposal that we get. We will have a contract development agreement that we can go forward with. But I will, again, after the closing tomorrow, which is at 3 p.m., if there is nothing else received at that time, I will be, well, even if there is, I will forward them all to the commissioners for review and preparation for a special meeting so that we can take necessary action to approve it and present to the city council, Trinidad City Council, letting them know that we're looking to take next steps.
Thank you, Chairman. Any questions from Commissioner Cochran? I'm sorry. I see him on his name right here.
Just kind of what marketing was done for the property. I kind of just have an out there question with regards to that with one thing. And then I do think it wise to schedule a special meeting when we do see that proposal.
Commissioner Heck?
No questions.
Commissioner Bacon?
I really don't have any questions either. I'm open for that open meeting whenever we decide.
And Chairman, whatever you come up with, just let me know. I'll make myself available.
Okay, well, do I need to answer a question now regarding Commissioner Collins' question about the market?
I mean, if the answer is available, I mean, was this open to the public? Was this did we hire a real estate marketing firm to do this? Did it end up being in the kind of publications that would like LoopNet? Did it end up being in places where people were looking for commercial properties might be?
No, it was advertised as required and described in urban renewal law.
Okay.
It was for the sale and disposition of property. It was advertised twice. I don't have the file close to me, but one was, I believe, May the 30th, and then June the 7th, I believe, the following week. And the law, the statute requires that it be publicized twice. And this was, again, at legal counsel instructions from Paul Benedetti. The requirement, as prescribed by state statute, is that it be published twice in a local newspaper, local publication, 2 weeks in a row. That's the requirement of how it's put out.
So
it was complied with, and it was again for instructions and for advice and consultation by Paul Benedetti.
yeah, and so Chair, I do understand that. I think I look at some of those things as the minimum requirements that we're supposed to do, is advertise it twice in the local newspaper and make sure it's public notice there. I'm just wondering, and again, we can deal with this in a special meeting, are there opportunities for us to take it up just one notch? So if that's the minimum requirement that our attorney would like us to do, in order to make sure that it has the widest opportunity for somebody that wants to develop that piece of property, are there things we can, because I don't believe we're limited to just those two publications, those two notices. I think that's our requirement to do those two notices like it is with most other municipal things. If we get in there and there's one person, again, the proposal will actually make my maybe question moot if it's a great proposal, right? But if it's not a great proposal, I would like for us in that special meeting to look at other opportunities for us maybe to work alongside Ms. Williams with regards to folks that are inquiring to do other things in the community, or look at where the county may be looking at things they have folks, because we're running out of commercial space in our core area. And I think that property is going to become more and more valuable to someone. And so that's really my question.
And I think, Chairman, we can have that for a future work session agenda item for discussion.
Thank you, Chair.
Well, that's fine. At that point, we might have to have Paul Benedetti in the presentation so that he can explain the exact workings of how the state statute works. And again, I can cite, I just don't, I'm not gonna go and get the book right now, but what has been done is according to what is prescribed in state statute, and it is fully legal and compliant.
Thank you. Moving on, item 4, Southern Colorado TIF, 101.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, commissioners, we spoke about this in the past, and it's finally coming to fruition. Been working with Paul Benedetti and Catherine Corral at Downtown Colorado Incorporated, and we are going to have Southern Colorado TIF Conference. It's August the 17th. It will be, and everybody will get the invitations to it. You'll have to register on the DCI site. But we will have August 16th, the evening before, we're going to have a little bit of a gathering. That site yet to be determined. And it'll be like a little brainstorming thing of what we want to see coming out of the meeting and the gathering that we're going to have on the 17th. And the 17th, we're going to have the gathering at the meeting, the conference at the Space Degrees Conference. I'm working on details at this point. There's still some work to be put together, but we have dates in place. There's an agenda, a training agenda that's been put forth and will be ready by, prepared for and presented by Catherine Corral of DCI. There'll be a few speakers that are going to be coming in, and so we're hoping members of other renewal authorities from Southern Colorado. They will be invited, and we hope they come to see Trinidad.
Any questions, Commissioner Howell?
I love it. We talked about this, we're doing it, we're kind of taking a leadership role in this in our area, and I sure appreciate what we were able to do to make that happen. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Head?
No questions.
Commissioner Bagley?
Not necessarily a question, but yeah, I was really glad to hear that. That sounds good. I'm looking forward to August 17th. So.
Chairman Gray, the only question I have is fees for this. Are we, Urban Renewal, paying for the other organizations to come and visit, or is there fees attached to this?
Well, this is where that's going. Yeah, we needed to cover that, and there's something else I needed to everybody. One of the things that we're hosting the meeting, so there will be some costs involved, which we'll be providing some like meeting for hors d'oeuvres at the meet wherever it's going to be. On the meeting day itself, we will be providing the space to create space for us is no charge because it's a city function. So we as hosts will be providing coffee and beverages through the morning and probably light snacks. And then we will have a luncheon. And we'll provide lunch. It'll be a working lunch because we'll work through it because the planned time for this is 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So we're going to have a few dollars involved in it, a few $100 to be able to pay for the cost of being hosts. And so I'm assuming that we do have a budget, which our training budget does have money allocated for it. And on this one, we don't have to travel and pay expenses for mileage, hotels or otherwise, so we'll absorb that from within. One of the things that I want to bring forward and see if it's okay with everybody is some places I may have to pay in advance, which I'm willing to pay myself, and then present to Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority for reimbursement thereafter, which would be in September. If that's not appropriate or don't feel adequate, then I can figure out a way with the city of Trinidad to get advance payment to them, and then Urban Renewal can reimburse the city of Trinidad for it. But as hosts, we do need to provide refreshments and luncheon during the time that they come. So they're not. There's no charge to them as DCI members. There's a cost. If you're not a DCI member, everybody coming to attend is $35. DCI members are not required to pay a fee to attend the conference. So again, there will be costs involved. The only way I see it right now is for me to pay when the services are rendered and then present invoices or bills for reimbursement to the after it occurs. If you think that's appropriate, if not, I will figure out another way with the city of Trinidad.
And that's a standard practice.
Yeah, I would like to figure out a way that we just make that as easy on the chair and as easy on TURA to be able to be great hosts and pay that someone.
Whatever way you think is best then.
Yeah, I would like to empower you to do that.
We're all okay. all okay with that.
Well, there you got it. Careful what you ask for, sir.
Have fun.
All right.
Well, I think that's the most expeditious way to get that to happen. And, if we ask providers of services and goods, I'd like to be able to pay it but not have it to wait at the convenience for us to when we pay it out, on our monthly meetings. I don't think that's fair today. So, again, one of the quickest ways for me to put it on my debit card and I'll present all the invoices to the penny for consideration by TURA.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Anything else on the TIF? Moving on, item 5, TURA letter to property owners. Chairman.
This is something we've discussed at least once or twice in the past, but we, for a couple of different reasons, had to defer it. And the last time we deferred it was because we had, we were short 2 commissioners at the meeting, so we decided we would like to see a full house in order to be able to get anything accomplished and not have to go back and take ourselves to the mud all over again. Obviously, we don't have a full house for tonight. Again, Commissioner Yoni was not able to make it for personal reasons. And so, again, do we want to be able to include everyone in this?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
I looked back at this and we did vote on, we went through the process, we looked at your original letter that went out. I was instructed to take a shot at that letter, we brought it back. I think we agreed that we were going to do the letter, and I think we agreed with how that process. I think where we came into some things is, how do we weed out the folks that shouldn't be getting this? And I think Commissioner Lopez was able to provide some insight into, a lot of these properties are owned by a person may own multiple parties, and how do we do that? In fact, so I think we ran into a snag there. I think we also was in with the postage and how we were going to do that. So I think there were some details after the letter with regards to how do we actually functionally do that. And so I think if we get an opportunity to make a special meeting or make that kind of an item, to just put that back in, maybe that we make that one of our future, when we look at some of these things, what is it, our future items for future work sessions. I think we bring that letter back, we revitalize our memories, and we actually try and either decide to move forward with that, tweak it a little bit, address all the legitimate concerns we have with regards to how to best expedite that and not be a bothersome process. And so I'd like to maybe encourage us to do that again.
Mr. Shank?
No, I agree.
Mr. Bagley?
I agree. What does Keely think about this letter? What do you think about it?
I'm familiar with.
I was just gonna say, would this be in conjunction with your efforts?
I'd love to have her take a peek at it. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I would
I
have
didn't know if we're,
to.
I was just looking at the samples here that we saw, and just, because that's gonna be in conjunction with your efforts, right?
Right? Yeah, I would have to pull it up and then review it, a little bit more.
But just following up on what you said, concerning this, I think, we should all be together on it and have make that one of our upcoming sessions, but.
One voice, yeah.
So I agree.
And my only comment on it is, I think the courtesy was given because I think you were missing from that meeting, and I'd like to get, and also Mr. Cochran at the time. Mrs. Leone is not here tonight, so I'd like to give her that same latitude moving forward. But that'll also give Keely an opportunity to be able to review with Mr. Grego, with Chairman Grego, and then if we need to have a special meeting, Chair, on the other issue we discussed earlier, maybe we can combine them the two items, and it shouldn't be a lengthy discussion in my opinion. So, but that's up to you guys.
Well, if we're gonna talk about a special meeting, which I think is gonna be appropriate, I just gotta figure out, when we can all bring that together. That's gonna be for one and only one subject, which will be the huge property proposal. Talking about the letter to property owners, we've talked about in the past. One, we did come to a consensus on what the content of the letter was going to be. That the structure of the letter was one, we didn't really come to a consensus.
Yeah.
Secondly, we haven't come to a consensus of who that audience is that we're going to be out there. Because we did agree that we're not going to shock that out in the community and you know, try to get a lot of people in the door and not accomplish anything and even create some animosity. And in fact, we talked about it, is one where anybody that wants to respond to that, we're going to have to bring them in at a scheduled on an agenda. So the third component to that was, the manner of who we're going to get it out there and how we're going to get it out there. So I don't think we have all the logistics on it yet. I don't think we really came to an agreement. But we're going to do that. It needs to get out there. I think that some things we have to do as homework as commissioners is go out into the community and look at certain properties and say, and I think we talked about this, is say here are 10 or 20 properties that we think we're needed. And the downtown being a concentration point. And use those as the ones to go to those property roads and say here, this is who we are, this is what we do, and be a beginning point. Because if we're going to try to respond to and assist 20 different property owners at the same time, I don't think it's feasible or possible. I don't know if we've got enough hours or days in the week to do that. So that's food for thought.
So a work session then for the next meeting?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, like I say, I needed to get out there because we got deferred from last time because we said we'd like to have full input. And, by just circumstances created that we don't have a full complement of commissioners this week, of city commissioners this month. So, is it fair to them not to be able to give their input into it, or do we look and have to sort of backpedal to make changes thereafter? So it's just a matter of time management, if you will.
Chair, would you like me to review the letter and then kind of make a list of suggested properties to send it to for consideration?
It would be very helpful if you could try to weave those the letter together.
Sure.
And then from what you said, maybe give us some suggestion of some property owners that may go to like 5 to 10 of them.
Okay.
That may be the beginning point. We need a beginning point to it, and that your assistance, because your direct knowledge of what's going on at the city would really be helpful in this.
Great, yeah, I would love to do that.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Next item. Item 6, Commissioner Jeff Cockrum. Chairman Drago.
Okay, just to advise everybody, you're probably aware of it already. Commissioner Jeff Hoffman is no longer a member of the Trinidad Renewal Authority, and that was as a result of action taken by the Trinidad City Council on July the 5th. And so those reasons, are based upon what they felt was appropriate, based upon the infraction in those rules and that language contained in the city charter. So that's where it sits. So at this point, we are have one vacancy on the board.
Any questions or concerns, Commissioner Howell?
I have concerns. I was at that meeting. I don't have concerns with regards to defending Commissioner Cochran and that. I have concerns with regards to the process, and I have great concerns with regards to what I'm going to continue to see as poor legal advice by the city attorney on this specific matter. And I think it's behooving of all subordinate commissions and boards to actually go down this rabbit hole a little bit. The city attorney is advising that the city charter says something that it doesn't say. And so instead, in lieu of that, and to make it expedient, due process was removed from a commissioner sitting on a subordinate board and commission. The city charter is a founding document. Municipal code is an operational document. And it's very clear, if you read the section that the city attorney has referenced in the decision, it's very clear that he's using the word shall correctly, but he's not using the words subject to correctly. The city's charter says shall be subject to removal. And what the city attorney did on his own, outside of due process, was make it say shall be removed by the thing. When it says subject to, the definition of that, if somebody wants to look at it, means to something else. Subject to, I'm gonna build a house, and it's subject to the city's approval. I'm going to, get a vacation, but it's subject to my boss. There's usually subject to has a very specific meaning. I think there was poor, and again, this isn't to defend Commissioner Cochran, but because he didn't get due process, he was taken into the public view as a volunteer board member. And the person that was on the other side that actually he has some grievance against, he never had his day. So subject to was actually that chapter that I referenced last city council meeting. That chapter, so the city charter is very specific as to shall be subject to removal. The subject to gives us to municipal code, and that is very, very, very specific in detailed process of how a sitting member of a subordinate commissioner board would be treated with an ethics grievance. And that was not done. I'll add this one part because I will be saying this at the, and I'm representing myself as Pat, not as anybody on the TURA board, okay? I believe the sunshine laws were violated. I think there was also poor legal advice given when they went into that. Because it seemed to me, and I was there and I've now watched the video several times, it seems to me that when you go, and the way the sunshine laws are met, there's only several, I think there's 7 conditions that you can do that. One we're using a lot at city council, it is to get legal counsel, okay? But when you go in there, you're supposed to be able to go in there and just be specific to that one thing that you're doing. And so that would have been specific to, does the city charter say this? And what are the examples? To me, in that, and then when you watch the video, there seemed to have been a consensus reached in that executive session. And my understanding, I've asked others, is that you can't come out with a consensus. You went in there with a specific point. The attorney needed to provide you with the legal counsel for that specific point. You should come out of executive session, and to the degree in which you can, you should define what you did there, and then you should rule on that. So I have a couple of grievances with regards to that process because I think it's a slippery slope. As hard as it is to get members on boards and commissions, I think it's a slippery slope when the city attorney is able to bypass the charter and bypass commercial code and do that. And I think he put the city council in a very bad position.
And that really doesn't pertain to this board here, that's something on a separate issue, other than being a board member. So I think you can take it up with city council at their next meeting.
In my time, I wanted to say what I just said.
Did we lose you, Chairman Grego? There he is, tried calling
I
in.
have him, let me see if I can get him off of mute. He might be on mute on purpose. I think he's muted himself on purpose. Seems like.
So you took a call.
And then so I just muted this caller as well.
Okay, we'll just continue. Mr. Heck, any concerns or comments?
I have no idea what's going on. I was not aware that Commissioner Cochran was removed. So I really have nothing much to say about it.
Mr. Bagley?
I was totally blindsided by this, I have no idea.
Okay.
So, and no comment at this point.
All right. Americana Road, let's see, Mr. Chairman Grego, is he back on yet?
It looks like he's still muted and he has his camera off, so.
Or we can continue
Yeah.
until he gets on here. The next item up is Americana Road pay estimate, number 17, final. Can you hear us, Chairman?
Yeah,
Okay.
we had a power figure down, I'm in my office, there was a power figure and it just sort of knocked the internet out, the guy's back on.
Okay, just to recap, Commissioner Howlett had some discussion, and Commissioner Heck, Commissioner Bagley, and myself had no comment regarding the item 6, Jeff Cochran. We are now on item 7, Americana Road, pay estimate number 17, final, and I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, As you know, that we've been the administrator of those funds as required by the development agreement with Huerta. That the public works project has completed, which is the American Road, the public utilities that are underground. It has all been completed by Inventory Valley Construction. So tonight, what we will be voting on is a payment estimate of 17, which is the work done in the month of June, and then the final, which is the retainage as required by contract with the developer and the city of Trinidad.
Thank you, Chairman. Any questions from the board? Commissioner Howland?
No.
Commissioner Heck?
No.
Commissioner Big?
I'm good.
Thank you, Chairman. Item 8, items for future work session discussions. I'll start with Chairman Grego.
Well, I know of nothing at this point, but that doesn't mean something isn't going to come up here shortly.
Commissioner Howland?
Just that the letter being reviewed now by Ms. Williams, and I really like the direction the chair was just taking us into, be a little more surgical than as broad as when with our discussions were in the early days. We were kind of going broad to let folks know, but I think we've made a lot of progress since that time, and we have somebody that's there, and I think we can be a lot more surgical, more tactical, and a little more personable to folks. And so I kind of like where we are there, and I think that would be something I'd certainly like to attack and put in bed.
Commissioner Heck?
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Bailey?
I'm good too.
Okay, and I'm fine with where we're at as well. Having said that, it is now 6:35 p.m. We will bring the regular meeting of the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority to order. We'll start with roll call, please.
Edwin,
Here.
Here.
Alex,
Here?
Yummy, Lopez.
Here.
Grego.
Yes.
Item 2, approval of minutes, June 2023. They've been in your package. You've had an opportunity to review. Any questions or concerns? Entertain a motion at this time.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of June 2023.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or concerns? If not, roll call, please.
Edwin,
Yes.
Yes.
Alex,
Yes?
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes.
Item 3, acceptance of financial report as well. I will turn this over to Chairman Grego for any comments before we open up our motion.
Yeah, everybody was provided an advance copy of this. You'll notice that the revenue actual to date is $15,783. We picked up since the last meeting $1,946. So it appears as though probably the revenue from TIF is about crested. And so I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot going on from here to the end of the year. So quite possibly the estimates that we worked with going into the 2023 budget, which were estimated in the $18,000 range, we're probably going to be very close to that. So, one of the things that's going to be discussed at the Southern Colorado TIF 101 is going to be having to do with TIF and TIF collections. So, hopefully everybody seems to be some pretty important information coming out here.
Thank you, Chairman. At this time, we'll open it up for a motion, please.
I make a motion to accept the financial report, and I like that we're on track.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or concerns?
Who's the second on it?
Commissioner Bagley?
Okay, thank you. I do take notes, so I have to ask if I can distinguish.
Thanks.
And if we could state our name for the remainder of this meeting so he can accurately take that, I appreciate that. Roll call, please.
Edwin,
Yes.
Yes.
Alex,
Yes?
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes.
Item 4A, Paul Benedetti Legal Services, June 2023, in the amount $1,080 that's been in your packet for review. Chairman Grego, do you have any comments or concerns?
No, those are just for the ongoing services, and I asked, Paul Benedetti, he is apportioning out the amounts, he's going to be tracking, or is tracking for us the amounts that are dedicated toward, the Hughes property. That way we know when we have any, the net proceeds with the city, we'll know how much, legal fees are involved.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open up for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the $1,080 to Paul Benedetti.
Motion by Commissioner Bagley,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Heck. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Henry,
Yes.
Yes,
Ellis,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes.
Item 4B, Purgatory Valley Construction, American Road Project, $17,548.78. As was discussed in the work session, I don't know if there's any more need for further discussion on the final payment, number 17. So we'll open it up and entertain a motion at this time.
I guess I'll make a motion to accept the payment of $17,548.78.
A second.
Commissioner,
Commissioner Howlett will second that for Purgatory Valley Construction Road Project.
Commissioner Heck made the motion. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Henry,
Yes.
Yes,
Ellis,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes.
So item C is Purgatory Valley Construction, American Road Project Final. I misspoke on the last one, it wasn't the final. This is the final for $130,133.89. Chairman, you have any comments or concerns?
No, just let everybody know that will be the final bill, that we will be seeing coming through, Trinidad Renewal Authority. And, one of the things that I mentioned earlier, maybe it needs to now, but these payments have to be subject to to all signatures required.
Thank you, Chairman. At this time, we'll entertain a motion, please.
I make a motion, Pat, Commissioner Howlett will make a motion to pay the final bill on the Purgatory Valley American Road Project. I will also add that the hotel looks great. You ought to get in there. It's a pretty awesome thing. Making this contingent upon all needed signatories.
And Commissioner Bagley is going to second that, so.
Have any questions or concerns or comments? I have a comment. Since Mr. Duran is in the room tonight, this wouldn't have come to fruition without a willing seller. Mr. Duran and his family on that property for many, many years. I actually used to play on that property with his nephew when I was a very young boy. And that wouldn't have happened without your families moving forward and seeing the future of our community. So thank you.
Thank you again.
We have a motion and a second. Any other concerns or comments? Roll call, please.
Henry,
Yes.
yes,
Ellis,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes.
Item 4D, Cedar Street Printing, Training Information for TURA, $33.60. I think that's self-explanatory for an expenditure. Entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the $33.60 payment for training.
Commissioner Heck.
Commissioner Howlett seconds.
Questions or concerns? We'll we'll take roll call, please.
Henry,
Yes.
Yes,
Ellis,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Grego.
Yes.
Item 5, petitions or communications, oral or written. Do we have anyone in the boardroom tonight that would wish to address the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority, or online on GoToMeeting, or on the phone? I'll ask again if there's anyone in the chambers here or online who would like to address the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. Please do so at this time. Hearing none, we'll move forward to old business, which we have none. Item 7, new business, Triple-D Limited Partnership LLP request for waiver, and we have option 1 and option 2, and I will hand this over to Chairman Grego for more insight.
Yes. All right, again, we've discussed it in length with Mr. Durant, who would be the representative of Triple-D Family Limited Partnership LLP, which was the original party to the sales agreement on July 10th of 2015. And that was where I got the original, where that thing came in, or the request came in. But as I mentioned earlier, the waiver of that right of first refusal as its term is going to be, it will be inured to the benefit of FNLI Altitude Popco LLC. Again, I sent everybody that information with the photos yesterday because that's when it got to me. So you'll see it on there. So you've got two options. The Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority can enforce that covenant. It says we are to be offered the first right of refusal with a 60-day notice. Does it necessarily mean that enforcing it, we would do a repurchase? Option number 2 is to waive the covenants to that addendum and make it a record, and it will just go ahead and complete that single process. That's one of the contingencies, I believe, on the special warranty between Triple-D and the buyer FNLI Altitude Popco LLC. So the options are to enforce it, or B, to waive it.
So as I read the item B, Chairman, would this board be voting on option 1 or 2, or allowing you to make that decision on behalf of the board as it reads in the packet?
No, the new business 7A is to either enforce it or to waive it.
Okay, thank you.
Item number B will authorize the chairman and Paul Benedetti, attorney, to prepare the document. In this case, we don't have to prepare one. That one was already provided. Well, the waiver has been provided by the attorney on behalf of FNI Altitude. That is if we choose to do the waiver. If we choose to enforce it, then there will have to be another document that will be created by Paul Benedetti on behalf of TURA. And he has reviewed, I sent him the waiver of right of refusal that was presented to Urban Renewal through Ray Grant from FNL. And he said if TURA chooses to waive it, he believes that is an adequate document, and it just needs to have approval by TURA for the chairman to sign off on it so that they can take it forward.
Thank you for the
So
clarification.
the first thing we're looking at is either are we going to waive it, or do you want to, enforce the covenant as written, or waive the covenants as requested.
Thank you for the clarification. So at this time, we'll open it up to a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, Commissioner Howard, to elect option 2 to waive the covenant and the addendum to the contract to buy and sell real estate dated January 7, 2015, to first offer for sale to the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority lots 14, 15, and 16 in Block 6 of the Fairview addition to the City of Trinidad, and further to authorize the chairman to.
That's a separate motion.
Separate motion. I'll stand by the first motion to elect option 2.
And I'll make a motion to second that, Commissioner Baker.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or concerns? Roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Wilson? Yes. Grego?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-0. 7-
Yes.
Okay, item 7B, authorize or approve chairman, Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority to instruct Attorney Paul Benedetti to prepare a document for option 2, and for the chairman to sign and execute the document on behalf of the Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority. I believe it's self-explanatory. Entertain a motion, please.
Commissioner Howell, I'd like to,
Commissioner,
go ahead.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
at the time that this was written, we didn't have anything in there. So in this case, I don't know how we want to word it, but authorizing for the chairman of the Trinidad Renewal Authority to prepare the document, and it will be for option 2.
Yeah, that's what I stated. I left out option 1.
Right.
It might have not come through on your end, but I did.
Yeah, this is World War.
Yeah, I omitted option 1 on that, so, and stated option 2, so. So back to, we have a motion, please.
Commissioner Howell, I would like to make a motion to authorize and approve the chairman of Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority to instruct Attorney Paul Benedetti to prepare a document for option 2, and for the chair to sign and execute the document on behalf of Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority.
And I'd like to make, Commissioner Begley would like to second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Heck.
The only thing I would like to say is, we have to pay Paul Benedetti for that document. Why wouldn't we just have Alta prepare the document as opposed to us having to pay for it? That's my only concern.
And that is a good question. I did have previous discussion with Mr. Duran about this, advising him that there would be costs involved, and he is aware that those costs incurred by Trinidad Urban Renewal Authority for our legal services, we will be requesting reimbursement.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? Roll call, please.
Bagley?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes,
Howard?
Yes.
Lopez?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes.
Item 8, report by Executive Director. We don't have one, but Chairman, would you like to give anything on that behalf?
Commissioners, I would like to apologize for not being there in person this meeting. However, as you can tell, we do have a somewhat of a cough, and in courtesy to everybody else, not to be getting concerned with my own action, to attend my go-to meeting. So hopefully, my voice has been audible enough to be able to just give you that good information. If you have more questions subsequent to this, please call me.
Thank you, Chairman.
And I have nothing else to present.
Thank you, Chairman. Report by Commissioners. Commissioner Howell. Commissioner Heck. Commissioner Bagley. And I have, and myself. Item number 10, adjournment. Entertain a motion, please.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Howell and Heck.
Commissioner Howell.
We are adjourned. This meeting is concluded. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, take care of that cold.
Take care, and